Hello, everyone. My name is Zachary Weaver, and this is the Creative Wealth Community Podcast. Today, I'm talking with Ariana Neal, who is, let me pull it up, as singer, musician, poet, visual artist, and all-around arts fanatic. Ariana has created an album called Hello Joy. You can find it everywhere you listen to music, and we'll make sure to put the links in the description of this video. But this is what we're going to focus on talking about today, Ariana's new album. And Ariana, would you just tell us a little bit about the album? Let me start with for me, it was a beautiful experience listening to it. It raises my vibration. Ariana's music and voice is pure and heartfelt and expansive. And I feel like her songwriting and what she is bringing to the world is actually really, really unique in its purity and its light. So, Ariana, I would love to hear some of your words about it.
Okay, hi Zachary. Thanks so much for having me. It's truly a blessing to be here, and I'm so excited to get to share some of my thoughts around this project with the world. And thank you for hosting me and providing this opportunity. I am so thrilled to have this album out. It's been my baby project, although I didn't know it for most of my life. But I wrote these songs about 10 years ago. There's two that I wrote more recently, but I wrote these songs when I started playing guitar. And just this last year, felt inspired to actually put them out in the world and have people, the public, hear them. And I've been working on it for about 6 months. I started over the summer as part of my apprenticeship to complete my bachelor's degree. And so I started it in June and had been recording and working on getting this music put together, and finally released it at the end of the year in December. And it's been a wonderful experience to have that out. But there's 8 songs on it, all original works, all things that I played instruments on, as well as had other musicians play on. I did the vocals and I did the mastering and recording. So it was all an independent but also collaborative project. Yeah, so I truly am so grateful to have it all out and shareable with people. But you can listen to it on Apple and Spotify, YouTube, anywhere that you stream music. And you can buy it on Amazon and iTunes. And if you really like folk music, but also a little bit of pop music and some inspirational music, then it might be worth a listen to look into it. So that's the general overview.
That's perfect. I really appreciate you having all the perfect words to draw people there ready. And I would love to hear you talk some about what the album means to you, maybe some of the backstory on it, if you want.
Yeah. It kind of ties into, like I said, when I first got my guitar, I got my first guitar as a gift from my grandfather when I was 12. And that whole year, I just spent practicing, learning chords. My dad would help me learn a little bit, but it was all self-taught. And part of the way that I learned to play was I started writing music, and I would come up with chord progressions I liked, things that sounded good, things that were catchy to my ear. And I come up with maybe the words that came to mind, like things when I'd look outside in the yard and say, oh, I love how that like snow looks. I want to write about that. And so I'd write just songs that came to mind. And I amassed a whole list of these. And I remember back then thinking to myself, oh my, my young 12-year-old middle schooler thinking, oh my gosh, it would be such a wonderful dream if like I could ever like record this music or get it like publicly released. That'd be so cool. But, we'll just see what happens. I'll let life happen. And I let it go. And so to have this year, the opportunity to like come back and actually see that dream realized, it was so like such a ode to my inner child and that part of me that really, really wanted that voice to be out in the world, but at the time didn't have the self-confidence to do it. And so it's strange. It was also strange to then revive that part of myself and the time that I wrote those songs, because of course I'm a much different person now than I was 10 years ago. And so to revive all these songs and make them and try to emulate the essence of what they were when I created them and what I wanted them to be and how I wanted them to sound, but also feel in resonance with who I am today and how I've changed, and kind of merge those two sides of myself was such a technical and emotional challenge, but it has so much reward, and it's been a wonderful experience. And I feel like I've grown so much spiritually and personally just by doing that. And I feel so much like healing from that young side of myself. So that's one way that I feel this project has been just so beautiful for me, and why I love this baby album I've created. But another thing is just and I can't help having my pride moment here of the technical side of being able to do that during a time of COVID, when we can still like connect with people, but there's still mostly virtual connection going on. And I was still in school. I had this apprenticeship that I didn't really have any interest in doing an internship for, so I needed this credit to graduate. And I go up to my teacher and say, you know what, can I make an album and learn how to do that? That's sort of music related, right? It's a singing degree. I can do that, can I, right? Yeah. And it took her a minute to get used to the idea, but then she's like, yeah, you know what, go for it. And so I did. And I had I didn't take any courses in school on like songwriting or music production or recording equipment or software or how to even I knew nothing of the whole step. So to come in and do like the research and figure out how to get all the right equipment I wanted and use the software I wanted, and then collaborate with all these musicians virtually to have them record pieces of the music that had no I had chord sheets, but I had no score or way for them to read it and play it to me. It was more like I would do recordings on my guitar, send them the demos of that, and once they got a polished enough take of it, they would then play alongside that track and make individual tracks and then send them back to me, and then I would mix them all together and do final masterings with a Sean Campanini, who lives at Lake Ozark, and he was kind of my partner in the mixing mastering process and helped me refine it all. But all of that technical detailed parts I had to figure out on my own pretty much, and that was another just huge opportunity for growth. And hilariously, I told my teacher at the beginning of the project that I'd be able to get most it done in 2 months, because I wanted to get it done by the end of the summer so I could get my degree after finishing the project. That didn't happen. Grossly optimistic there, and underestimated the amount of work that would go into actually polishing and finishing the project. I realized I just went through that very quickly, so you can re-listen to all that if you got it or not.
I think it's perfect. You've given so much, so many interesting things. I think it's so rare for somebody to take something they created when they were 12 and still bring that into the world. That's very rare. I think it's beautiful that you still resonated with what you were expressing at that age, and blended it with who you are now.
I actually want to make a point about that. Tying into this topic, that was something I realized. I didn't realize until the day I released the music. And so that evening when it came out, and I was up literally all night just sharing it and being excited and celebrating with my family. And at one point, my mom was listening to one of the songs, and she says to me, "Oh my God, Ariana, you have manifested these songs that you created." And it made me so emotional to think about, because at the time I wrote them, a lot of the lyrics I was writing about, they weren't at all relevant or current to my life. I'm a very big, like, not as big as my younger sister is crazy about Taylor Swift, but I really enjoy her music and I support her as an artist. And I remember she was a big influence when I was learning to play the guitar. I'd play a lot of her songs, but I remember, or I not remember, but I think about her music and how she made herself around the experiences she had, and she wrote the songs. They were very personal and genuine and straightforward with what she was going through in life. And in contrast, this when I wrote the songs, not most, but some of the lyrics were more of ideas that I had or things that felt right to say in the song or what I wanted to say in order to create this feeling or idea in the song. But I felt subconscious about it because it was like, oh, this isn't really me. This isn't who I am necessarily. But then when I listened to the lyrics on the day I released the music, I realized, oh my God, everything I had written about has created itself and is now my life. That I'm in a loving relationship. I'm supported and surrounded by people I love and my friends who support me. And I feel joyful in everything I do. It's like, I didn't realize making this, and I can get into this in a minute, but the album had many different phases before its final release. It wasn't called Hello Joy until like the final song was recorded. And when I realized that, oh my God, that had to be the name of the album, because it was like, this is my voice greeting the world and saying, hello, joy, I'm ready to be here with you. I'm ready to receive you. And, please come, have a fun dance with me and stuff. So it's like, wow, that could, if I feel like that's the true portrayal of manifestation in the world. I'm a definitely believer in the law of attraction. So in many aspects of my life, I see how that's played out and so realistic. And this whole album's just been another example of that.
That's beautiful. And another thing you said that I was really struck by was that you replaced your internship requirement with doing an album. I want to like say that to everyone, like take notes. If there's something you have to do and you don't want to do, but you want to do something even bigger, like go for it. Encourage, replace your internships with some massive creative project that you want to do. And it'll probably be even more rewarding. So I love that. You talked about, did you want to talk about any of the other people that you worked with on the album? I know that was something you wanted to bring up. You talked about Sean, who's also dizzyingly talented. But yes, anyone else?
Yeah, I would love to, and I'll just briefly mention some of the names so if anybody knows those people, they can know that they supported me in this. I say the other biggest contributor to this would be Rusty Elder, who was a former professor at Stevens College, which is the institution I went to. So he was my teacher and advisor for many years. He's my friend now, but he did all of the percussion tracks for all the songs. So he very greatly contributed to that. And I owe him so much of this project just for donating his time to doing that for me. Sean Campanini, who I mentioned, a wonderful musician, recording artist. He, has produced lots of music for my friends and other people. He does gigs around the lake and he has a couple albums out as well. But he did a couple of the instruments. So I think some of the guitar solos and just a couple bass tracks throughout the album. But then he was instrumental for doing my vocal recordings and helping to do final masterings and production of the tracks and got them refined and tuned and stuff. So he did a good bit of the bulk digital refining. Doug Crawford, who's a superintendent at the school district where I live, he does keyboard bass, like he's an instrumentalist like in as a hobby, so he did some of the bass tracks for that. And then Missy McPheeters is a very accomplished violinist from Camdenton, Missouri, and she did the violin solo on The Story of Love. I think that's everybody. But then my family also did. My sister, Elaine and Neal, did backup vocals for Just Us along. We did backup vocals together. My dad played a little electric guitar, and my mom did the cello for Story of Love as well. I sound like I come from a very musical family, but we're all very diverse people and do a lot of different things. My mom is very insecure about her cello like skills, but I knew she was good enough for this. So, you know, I don't get any ideas that we're just this masterful orchestral family. We are, you know, musically inclined and like to collaborate together.
Touring around the Lake of the Ozarks in Missouri, and
right.
Yes. Well, I love that you collaborated with all those people. It's just so amazing that you pulled this together. I was curious for people who might be, you know, curious about what your music sounds like. Did you have any influences for this? You talked about being a fan of Taylor Swift. Are there any other influences that you?
You know, there's actually a lot, which is why picking a genre for the album was a chat. Like it took a lot of thought because there is a lot of influence. I mean, one of the things I loved most about being a music student and a vocal student was I love drawing from all different aspects of music, not just, I never wanted to just focus on one. So I mean, I studied classical and jazz and musical theater, and I've listened to pop music forever. So there's lots of different influences that go into this album, I think, because I've had so many just musical influences throughout my life. So, I mean, I know that there's a definite jazz influence to a little bit of the instrumentation of throughout the pieces. There is the song Between Dreams has a very strong drum group influence or drum circle from my mom's new age music that I grew up listening to. So there's that very strong sort of spiritual vibe with that song. Just Us has a lot of influence of the doo-wop 50s vibe songs. If you listen to Meghan Trainor's music from her first album, there was a couple songs in there that definitely feel like Just Us could fit in with. And then there's a little bit of kind of folk country music that I listened to with my dad growing up. I like to think that if you know the group Civil Wars, they're an instrumental vocal duo. They had a bit of influence on some of the songs. I could hear Between Dreams and some resemblance. So there's kind of a whole conglomeration of artists and sounds that go into the music. And it's another kind of remarkable thing why it all came together, because that was one of my fears originally, was I don't even know if these songs are gonna like mesh and sound congruent, you know, as a whole work together, because they all have such a different sound. Another thing I owe to my drummer Rusty, I think, because he guided me through all that and helped advise me on the instrumentation and picking instruments that would go through all of the music. Because that's something I didn't know either, is how important it is to pick percussive instruments and have them in all the pieces, because then it makes the whole work sound similar or sound like they go together. That's why I have a lot of similar percussive instruments in all the songs. But so yeah.
Amazing. I was just curious, do you have a favorite song on the album? You don't have to pick, but I was just curious if you do.
Oh, that is hard, because I will say Story of Love is the first song I ever wrote. So that one is a little close to the heart, because every time I sing those lyrics or hear the song, I get very emotional, not just because I connect with the lyrics, but because that was the start of all of this. I think looking strictly at the album now and when it came together, I think Hello Joy is my favorite, the title track, because of that I was able to bring it up. Well, not only because of the sound and instrumentation, it just recorded beautifully, but that's the song I wrote this year. And the first song I've written probably in 7 years now. So it felt like an accomplishment to do that again. And I'm proud actually because of all the songs I recorded, that was the one song I did in one take, straight to finish, vocally anyways. So I like listening back to that and feeling the accomplishment of what that was in the studio. So
yeah, I love hearing how there's a million stories behind each song, really. As I hear you talking, I realize we could talk about it for hours. Is there a message that you hope people will take away from the album? Possibly even, I'd also be interested in, did you have a message when you wrote the songs when you were 12, and is that the same message now, or has that changed? Is there a message that you take from it, or one that you want other people to take from it?
Yeah, I will say the message I think has changed. When I think back on who I was writing the music, the songs, I was just doing it by myself at home, and it felt much more trying to claim my voice of positivity in the world. I think about a happy feeling and what the lyrics say, and it's a great song, but when I wrote them, I was feeling of, I feel like there's just so much anger and frustration and negative people in the world that I was at the time seeing around me. And I was like, I want to be something different. I want to promote like love and joy and positivity, and just like, make it's like the world feel like I can feel like sunshine in the world, even though all these other people are feeling like very weighed down and heavy and sad. So it felt, a lot of the lyrics were much more self-oriented and just saying, I am going to be light and more. I can be happy and not let anybody else bring me down. Looking at it now, when I come back and re-sing these songs, I feel much more expansive than I did then. And I hope that now the messages I wrote in those songs reach all people, and that they can all, what's the right word? Anyways, I ask people to feel the energy behind those songs and really allow themselves to take in the joy and just the love of being alive and in the world. And I think the song that hits me most from the album that I want other people to hear is This Song Is For You. It's the second track, in the second title in the track. That was the song I really wrote to like sing to people, to others when I hear. So it's like I want, when people hear it, to really feel that the words I'm saying in that song are directed to you, to them, to all of us. And if I could think of the lyrics, it's oh, listen to me, you don't have to fret, my dear. It's clear that you are perfect just right here. That's my message through the album and through the songs, is that you are beautiful, you are perfect, and we can all thrive and love in this world together.
Beautifully said. And it crystallized my experience with the album, where I listened to it and I heard this bold message of positivity and putting love out into the world. But it was followed up by a feeling of, this album, I think anyone could find a home in this album. Anyone could sink into listening to this album, no matter whether they are feeling that way or believe in positivity even or not. It just felt like I felt an embrace or a hug from the album in that way.
I like to think of that as a auditorial. It's a good question, but a hug for the ears and the soul. I like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're perfect as you are. That
Mhm.
that
And you are deserving of
gives me-
self-love.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes. I am so grateful that you've created this album, that you've put it into the world, that it's available for people to use, because I feel like there are albums that you can listen to, and then there are albums and there's music that you can use to change your life in some way. And I had that experience listening to Ariana's, where I felt this is an album that I could use to help me emotionally, to uplift me and expand me, and also I guess to even comfort me in that process. And that's I think other people can find that as well. So and I don't think that's the case with all music and all albums. So I appreciate that you have done something really significant in that way.
Wow, thank you for saying that. That's truly wonderful to receive and hear. Because yeah, that's exactly what I wanted the music to be. So
I want to talk about Ariana's in our creative wealth community, which is the origin of this podcast. And in the creative wealth community, we focus on giving people a tangible support to create their happy level of income and share their gifts in the ways that they want to. And one thing that I want to talk about is how you can support Ariana in creating her art and music. Ariana is an incredible artist. I've seen she does these Zentangle arts, and I saw I messed up saying it, but Zentangle art, and I saw these pieces and they just totally blew my mind. And so Ariana is talented on many ways that I haven't even taken in yet. And probably if you're listening to this, you know that you likely know Ariana. And I just want to encourage you to support Ariana in being the light that she is in the world, the artist that she is in the world. I think that's really important, especially even at this stage in Ariana's trajectory. So, Ariana, I'll invite you to talk about a little bit too. There's one place that we want to direct you is Ariana's Ko-Fi or Ko-Fi page. It's KO-FI. On that page, you can give Ariana a monthly donation. You can also give her a one-time donation. But I really want to encourage you to give Ariana a monthly donation, because that's one thing that we're focused on, is how stabilizing it is for somebody to have consistent income monthly income, working towards, their happy level of income, which is an amount that's more, it feels like more than what they need, more than enough. And so giving a monthly donation, even a small amount, is extremely encouraging and supporting to an artist like Ariana. Ariana, is there anything you want to say about the Ko-Fi page?
Ooh, there's a lot to unpack there, but yes, absolutely. Yes. I think I want to start by mentioning what you had said, Zachary, about the stage in my career. And yeah, this album, I feel like, has sort of been the launch point to propel me into this career or lifetime of artistic endeavors that I want to do. And I've been in college, and so aside from doing work study and things like that in small amounts, I am pretty much self-employed. And so I want to keep, and I think the goal is I want to keep it that way. My soul, my heart feels like I want to have all of the resources and flexibility and freedom to put my heart into these creations, the visual art that they do. And so, yeah, like you were saying, creating monthly income wealth is something that I've just now been able to visualize and allow myself to start believing and receiving. And I'm so excited to have this Ko-Fi page available now for people, because it's the first site that I've accessed and created a presence on that I think will allow that for me to receive that support. I guess I could touch a little bit on, I do a lot more things than music. I sing, but I also play, I piano a little bit. I play guitar, so I play a couple instruments. I do a lot of visual art. I do Zentangle, as you said. I paint. I do drawing works. I do works with encaustic, which is like melted wax, so kind of like what Lindsay Weaver does. So I do a lot of different mediums in the art realm. I've tapped into some of my creative writing skills, and I write poetry. Eventually, someday, I may put out a book of poetry of things I've written. I think that would be really cool. But what I'd love to do for this Ko-Fi page is amass kind of a portfolio of some of my works that I've made on that site so people can see them. Eventually, I'll get to the place where I can accept commissions from that site and do works for people. I can really, what I want to do is to have people see and experience my work, purchase my work, and support me through that page. So I'm very excited to put that out in the world and have people go there and see it. So I don't know if you want to lead into anything else on that subject.
Absolutely. Thank you for detailing the many things you do. I couldn't even recap what you just shared. So I want to go into a little bit of and I'm making it I'm trying to make it a really clear ask of, please try, if you're excited to, if you want to, if you have some feeling of it, please go ahead and give Ariana a monthly donation of some amount that feels comfortable and exciting to you, because that is going to have a huge impact on Ariana's life. And I think it's going to have a huge impact on the world as we start to act on these impulses that we have to support each other, and to support each other in what we really want to see each other doing. I know I really want to see people sharing their light in the world the way that Ariana is, sharing their gifts. I don't want anything to get in the way of that. And I know that Ariana is so excited to do all of this, and also to be able to share with other people to support other people with the support she receives, which I think is an important aspect of being a human, being able to support other humans. So yeah, I just want to make the ask really clear, because there probably won't be a lot of people who listen to this podcast, but the few who do are going to be closely connected with Ariana or her music in some way. And yeah, if we had millions of listeners, maybe I just make a quick plug and hope that a percentage of them, take an action. But we're not looking at those numbers, so I just want to encourage you to take that action. And I'll put my contact information down below the video. And if you have any questions about it, like, feel free to contact me. We don't have to put the burden on Ariana. She can just keep doing what she's doing. but yeah, please bring up any questions you have, because this is a different way. This is a new way of doing things and encouraging people to support others. And Ariana, I know you did you actually looked up some of the numbers for me, because I asked for them. Like, what do you make from your music being streamed or downloaded, just so that we can give people an idea of like why this income stream on Ko-Fi is so important.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. And it's maybe something that not a lot of people realize. Everyone knows that there is this struggling artist mentality that's out in the world, and whether or not that's true for people is their own experiences. But it's sort of a double-edged sword when doing music in the industry right now, because on the one end, you want to be a solo artist and publish and produce and put out your own music by yourself, so then you can receive all the income from support from that. But then, as far as that, including making physical copies and putting out music online for streaming, joining a performing rights organization so you can get copyrights and credits for your work, marketing, and just all of the things that go into being an artist of any kind is a lot of work. So why we joined I joined CD Baby to put out my music on streaming sites. And part of the reason why we joined these groups is just to make our lives a little easier, because they have that network made and know how to go through the system and get it all out there pretty cleanly. But the downside of doing that is then all of the platforms and people you go through to do that work will then always take a portion out of what you earn when just strictly working with stuff online. So when I pulled up some numbers for Zachary, just to share with all of you, going through CD Baby, I did get as like the best. I paid more so I could get the best version of what they offer, so I could get the most return from what I put out. And even with that, they will receive like 9% of all the streaming and download revenue. If I do put out physical copies of the album, they'll get like $4 for every disc put out. 30% of any like YouTube or Facebook or returns from people who listen on there. And when I searched like on Spotify how much they actually give artists for a single stream, one song is like 1.0, no, not 1 point, sorry, it's less than a cent. It's like 0.003% of a cent. So in order to like really amass revenue from that, it would take like 1 million or plus listens to actually get a substantial return from streamed songs. And then not to mention on top of that, when I sell copies of the albums on and I'm not saying this at all to bash those companies, because again, they're a great resource and they do so much. And This revenue didn't go towards them, it would go to somebody else I'd work with, some other marketing group or, publishing group or something else to get the resources out. So money's fluid, and I'm not saying this at all to bash or say anything negative to these groups. But so like Amazon will take, and this is all, if you look it up, common knowledge, but they will take a cut of albums before CD Baby does. And then the pro I work with, which is the people who collect revenue for like live performances and stuff, they take a portion, I think 12%. But that's all just to say that by the time I get income from that stuff I put out through the interweb, it's maybe a fourth or 40% tops of what I actually earned from that music. So the thing about what I realized going through Ko-Fi is because they're a third-party group who just want to connect supporters with creators, everything that I earn from there will go to me, and there's no cut or fee from that price. So if you give me $10 or $5 or $50, I will get $10 or $5 or $50. There's not going to be any. So as an artist who like who relies on that for supplies and just gas and food and stuff, it makes such a difference. And honestly feels so much more rewarding, because then it's like I don't feel like I'm getting, I don't know, I'm getting the most of what I put out there. And that support is so important for us as artists, especially since my dream, what I want to do is to build my career on doing this, the making music and art, and I not having to stress or worry about a one or part-time job or a side thing to do to make extra income so that I can do this. I think what Zachary's group is doing, and what sites like Ko-Fi that are starting to bring up people connecting one together, is really wonderful for amassing a support network of people that say, hey, I see you, I love what you're doing, I want to support what you're doing. And so they give, and then those people that get then return and give back. And I realize I've done some sessions with Zachary to try to feel confident in claiming what kind of monthly income I'd love to receive. And through doing that, I realized how much I truly desire to give back to environmentally friendly organizations, and because I'm very much I love sustainability, and I do everything I can with the resources I have to make less of an impact on the world. But so many small businesses and independent artists and eco-friendly companies, people that I want to put my energy and support into, because it's what I believe money is, intention in its energy. And so whatever you put your intention to grows. So in order to be able to receive income just for people who love what I create and want to support me, allows me to give back to those things that I support. And then that creates that cycle is, it just keeps building and growing, and it makes us all more wealthy rather than, what we've been existing with for so long.
Ariana, that's beautiful. I love everything that you've shared. Yes, just for fun. Yeah, take out. I was doing it. Take out a calculator and figure out if Ariana is making a quarter for every song downloaded, or 0.003 for every time a song is streamed. Do some math on how the quantity that it would take to get Ariana to a stabilizing income, and then then play with the math of if each person who's a really big fan of Ariana just gave her $10 a month or something like that. And I think you'll probably get an idea of why this avenue is so helpful for Ariana, for people like her. If you yourself are craving more support like this, I would love to talk to you as well. Because I also recognize, some people, sometimes we can have that moment of like, oh, I wish I could support this person, but I'm not even supported yet. There's that element. I think we just need to keep trying where we can, just move ahead a little bit in this new world that we're
Mhm.
creating. I that's actually what I would kind of like to close with is Ariana is really um, a really spiritually connected person, and I've heard Ariana speak really beautifully on her vision for the world, and I would love to have you share some of that, Ariana, to close us out.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of times when I start talking about my so-called what I feel my vision is, it's usually when I get into just kind of this I go internal, get into this self-feeling place and just kind of do what feels right, and sort of the words come to me. So it never really comes out the same. I think we even talked briefly before of this interview, and I said something completely different that I probably won't say now, but I'd love to share a little bit about it. And it's beautiful that sort of what I would talk about the vision ties into what I feel like the voice of this album really tells. Um, and it's just that there's so much potential in the world for to exist in love and wealth, abundance and joy, and those things that make us all feel really good inside and make people thrive and connect with one another. I've done a lot of soul searching the past couple of years and have found that I have completely transformed my life when in that I live every single day in alignment with my joy. And so what I try to do is I go throughout my day and I frequently check in with myself and say, is what I'm doing bringing me happiness, making me feel excited and giddy inside, almost like your inner child is being fed, and is what I'm doing supportive of that? And if it's not, then I stop what I'm doing and I redirect my attention to, okay, what's something else that I'm really being led to do right now? And if it is, and I keep doing it. But having that constant awareness of feeling into my joy has made my life feel so fruitful, and I feel so much love and connection around me and just love for the world and for nature. And it literally feels like this little ball of light is just kind of like in my chest all the time, which so experiencing that personally has given me a new perspective on the world itself. And I so long for that for all people. And I think it's something that we are creating together, maybe slowly but surely. But the more that people love and connect and talk to each other, the more that we share each other's light, the more that reality is going to exist in the world, the more that our frequency is going to raise in the world, and the earth will resonate on a frequency of love and not fear. Because I think where we've been for centuries is people lead their lives fearful of what lays before them, or what they will do wrong, or what things will go wrong, rather than trusting that the universe, the world, it does support you. You always have what you need around. You have abundance, and you will always have what you need to get by, because you are supported and loved in the world. And I can see with a lot of people I talk to that voice is getting stronger and building. But with my music, with my art, what I do, that is the voice that I want to put out in the world and exponentially grow. So I hope sometime today or this week in the near future, I ask all of you to, if you feel led, to sit down and think about one or a handful of things that bring you joy and light up your heart, your soul when you think about them, whether it's a person you're with, a pet you love, an activity you enjoy doing, and just amass a list of things that just excite you and make you feel alive and joyful. And then maybe do some of those things and just sit with that feeling of love and joy. Because that's what's going to expand and change the world. That's what's going to right wrongs and ease discord and bring peace to conflict, is that love.
I couldn't agree more. And that's what we want. That's what we want for all of you. Thank you, Ariana, for changing the world. Thank you for sharing your beautiful vision, your beautiful art, your beautiful music. I'm so grateful to have you on this podcast. And until next time, thank you all for listening. Bye.